You're listening to the What's Happening podcast with Gary Watts.
Good afternoon. I'm here with Dustin Elsbury, Regina's new head football coach. Dustin, how are you?
Good. How are you? How are you doing?
Good, real good. Assistant wrestling coach too?
Yeah, I didn't help out last year. Last year I did just football and track, but my first 3 years I did wrestling as well.
In track, you worked with sprinters and hurdlers?
Yep. Yeah, mainly just sprinters, the short sprints. Might look back into getting into wrestling. My dad was a longtime head wrestling coach, so
really?
I really enjoy coaching the sport of wrestling. So
then was your dad a coach at Tipton?
He was, yeah.
Because one of our guys in the office played at Tipton.
Oh,
I knew
really?
your dad.
Nice. What was
Randy
his name?
Lang?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
You know Randy?
My dad would know him for sure. I've actually heard of that name.
Yeah, he played at Wartburg too. We can get into the Wartburg Co. here.
Yeah, Randy Lang. He had Cody Kelly was another really good one. That
Cody
went to
Kelly.
Wartburg that he had when he was at Tipton.
Yep.
Yeah, I grew up in Tipton from like preschool through first grade when I was really young.
You probably remember those guys then, right?
Yeah,
They're
Yep,
good
I was
players.
on the sidelines, just a little guy running around.
Ball boy or something.
Yep.
Well, it's kind of exciting to see you here and just welcome aboard. Start out and tell us a little bit about your background, where you come from. I know Byron, Illinois, right?
Yep.
And then how you got to Iowa City and where you went to school and whatever you want to share about yourself, your family. So just so we know you better.
Yeah, for sure. So kind of a long story, I guess, my path. I grew up kind of all over the place. Both my parents were teachers and coaches growing up. So kind of like you just said, like growing up always around a ball field. My mom was a volleyball coach, softball coach, basketball coach. They went to Co as well, Co College in Cedar Rapids, which we can talk about a little bit in the future. But so both Iowa people, and just, with my dad getting into teaching and coaching throughout the years, he ended up taking a teaching job over in Winnebago, Illinois, actually, in northern Illinois. And then I ended up going to high school, and Byron High School and that's where they're still at. But great high school. It's actually kind of claim to fame, and Hawkeye fans would know, but Sean Considine was a Byron grad there.
Yeah,
So
D-back, right?
Yep, and he's actually back there. He's their defensive coordinator now. So
Oh, really? Oh, good.
people in Iowa, usually if they're like, "Oh, where's Byron at?" I'm like, "Oh, do you know Sean Considine?"
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, yeah. So graduated from Byron. I'm the oldest of 5 boys, actually. So
Wow.
I got 4
No
younger
girls,
brothers.
right?
No girls.
So you got a basketball team, right?
Got a basketball team, yeah. And kind of funny story is none of us played basketball. Like my mom's side of the family, they're all big basketball family. My dad's side was wrestling, and then of course my dad was head wrestling coach growing up. So we all kind of got a little nudge towards the wrestling side of things.
Right.
After Byron, I went to Co College in Cedar Rapids and played football there, and also ran track for a year there. But I mainly went there for football and their athletic training program at the time. So I was interested in going into like physical therapy at the time. So I didn't want to major in like biology to get to that route, and Co had a great athletic training program. So I kind of chose the school mainly for athletic training. Graduated, and I also did strength and conditioning there. So that's where I kind of had my more of an exercise science background in strength and conditioning and athletic training.
Dive into a little more. How did you get interested in it? Why did you get interested in it? Did you have a really good trainer in high school around your dad? What influence should you get into training?
I kind of got interested in it because I was hurt a lot in high school. It seemed like my junior year I broke my wrist, and so I missed my junior year of wrestling. My sophomore year I had an avulsion fracture where my hamstring kind of meets my tailbone, so I had an avulsion fracture there, so I was out again. So it seemed like I was always finding myself like in a physical therapy office and working with them on the rehab side of things, and I just found how the body moves and operates very interesting at the time. And then of course growing up around sports with my parents, I was just always involved with the sporting side. So I was like, man, I think that'd be a good career. Things changed. So I graduated from Co. Actually worked as an athletic trainer for like a year and a half, based out of Marengo, Iowa, it was called Compass Memorial Healthcare at the time. I think it might have changed names. And then I outreach to a couple high schools. So English Valley's high school, very small school in North English, Iowa, reached out to their sports, covered their sports for a little while. And I realized real quick that I really enjoyed the hands-on part, like working in the rehab side, getting kids back to play. But I did not enjoy just sitting at practices and games and watching the sport. And I almost felt like, you really are you're waiting for an injury to happen,
Right.
I didn't like that side of it. Evening hours. And I'm like, man, my parents were both coaches. I just want to get more involved, in the everyday, practice planning of coaching. And so kind of had a little not midlife crisis a little bit, and was like, hey, do I want to teach? Do I want to go into college strength and conditioning? What do I want to do? So then I actually moved back home to Byron for a little bit and started taking some physical education classes at NIU and DeKalb. And then during that time, my college strength coach, Matt Walter, he was a long time at strength coach, and now he's actually at Solon running their strength program there. He reached out to me and said, hey, Dustin, there's this really cool opportunity to do an internship at the University of Iowa with their football strength and conditioning program with Coach Doyle at the time. And
I bet that was amazing.
And so when he reached out and just said that he could get me connected there, and at the time, I was in limbo of, do I get my teaching licensure? Do I go into strength? I'm like, man, this is a great opportunity regardless. I have to drop what I'm doing and, take this to work with Coach Doyle, who, is, as far as strength and conditioning coaches go, he's on the Mount Rushmore of strength coaches, and took that. So I worked with Iowa football on their strength program for, it would have been like the winter of 2018 into 2019.
Were you in the new facility?
Yep, in the new facility.
It's amazing.
Phenomenal. Yeah, super nice. And so just the mentorship of Coach Doyle and his staff at the time there was a couple names. There's like Nick DeMarco, Cody Myers, who's still there, Raymond Braithwaite, who was there. Just learned a ton from their staff about, being detail oriented, buying into the basics, just the organization of how to run a really high quality strength program. And then, when you're an intern, they let you see and do everything. So I got to even sit on like the team staff meetings with Coach Ferentz and how he runs his team meetings with his players, with his coaches. And just seeing that has helped me a ton now that I'm in a head coaching role at Regina, and just how Coach Ferentz operates. It was amazing. That was an amazing experience. Kind of like I said, this is a long-winded story of my background, but after I got done with that internship, I realized, wow, to be a college strength coach, you live at that facility, from 4 a.m. all the way until dinner time, and then you wake up and you do it again. So I'm like, okay, do I want to pursue this, or do I want to maybe do this at the high school level and pursue a teaching licensure? And so I decided to go back and get my teaching licensure, and it just so worked out where Tyler Staker at Co reached out to me and said, hey, I got a coaching position open at Co. Do you want to come coach linebackers for me? Loved having. He was the offensive coordinator at the time. I actually had his dad, Steve Staker, as the head coach when I played for him.
He was there a long time.
Yeah, really a long time. And so I've just throughout my career, I've had just all these just phenomenal people I've run into, and like role models to look up to on how to run a program, how to coach, how to be an inside out coach. And I'll talk about that. So like an inside out coach, we talk about that with my coaching staff now is, you got to get to the player's heart first. And then once you get to their heart and you form that connection, then you can truly start teaching the X's and O's. But you have to form that relationship first, and you probably hear it all the time, but yeah, it truly comes down to getting to their heart first, and working from the inside out. And then you can teach the X's and O's, how to block, how to tackle, all that good stuff. So I truly believe in that, and I try to model that every day for all the athletes at Regina, but then especially the football team as well. So I went back and coached at Co for 2 years, and was like a GA, a graduate assistant there. And during that time, that's when I got my teaching licensure online through Grand Canyon University, and got my master's in secondary education. And so finished up my teaching licensure. A student taught at Iowa City West, actually.
That's where you met Brendan?
Yep, that's where I met Brendan Panther. He was awesome. So I worked with Brendan and Erica Munt, who was kind of one of the main performance PE teachers there. Same thing, once again, just like learned a lot from both them and performance therapies, and what they do for athletes all around. They work with Solon a lot too for over the years. And kind of after I student taught, did a long-term sub position, COVID happened, and then was just kind of looking for jobs after that, and a position at Regina opened up. My wife works at the university as a nurse, so I was kind of looking in Iowa City, Cedar Rapids area. Applied to Regina it was just a general kind of PE position. Applied, got that job, and my first year at Regina would have been Marv Cook's last year at Regina.
Tell us about that. Tell us about Marv. Tell us about your last year. Tell us what you learned from Marv, and just if you want to take a few minutes, talk about Marv Cook.
Yeah, for sure. So I was super blessed and lucky to have him for 1 year at least. I wish I could have had more years just to learn under him, but just talk about a guy that stands by the right things. And, talk about a guy where, his players truly would have run through, they still say it today. They want to run through a brick wall for that man just because of how great of a man he is, the life lessons he teaches every day, and just how he kind of administered the program is something I really took from him. He let his coaches coach. He had a great staff, and he kind of let them run with it and he kind of handled the behind the scenes stuff, the team meals, the parents, the behavior, the team culture stuff. But as far as the X's and O's, like he let Coach Hinkle call the offense, run that system. He let at the time it was Alex Canellis. He let him run the strength program, run with that. He had Jason Dumont, who kind of ran with the defense, and then he kind of just oversaw everything. And that's kind of similar to how Steve Staker operated at Co as well. Was more the administrator, and then let his coaches coach. And I see over here you got that Energy Bus book. They talk about getting the guys.
John Gordon.
Yep, I love that book. Like super simple, easy.
I know
read.
John.
Okay,
I've been around him a little bit.
Yeah, I'd love to. I've read several of his books. I just love how they're so simple reads too. Like you can get through them really quick. And the message is super powerful. But I think Marv did it best, is like getting the right guys in the right seat on the bus, and then that's going to take your bus in the right direction. Let them help drive the bus. And that's kind of how I've built my staff at Regina now too. And I let them have some autonomy on coaching, because at the end of the day, they want to coach too, right? Like that's why they're coaching. They want to be involved. I've also been a part of staffs where the head coach kind of tries to micromanage everything and run everything, and it's not very fun for the assistants.
A little trivia on Marv. One of the bunch of guys, and we flew into Columbus.
Okay.
The day he caught that pass at the end zone at the end of the game.
Oh yeah. Yep, I've seen that highlight.
Yeah, I was ready to leave because I thought, I don't know what I was thinking. But anyway, I was headed down. I was down on the exit, just ready to head out, and I turned and looked. Marv caught the pass. 2 D-backs smacked him, and 3 yards. I'll never forget it as long as I live.
Yeah, I still.
He wasn't going to be denied the goal line.
No,
he's going to score, and he did. It was I'll never forget it.
I still hear just new stories, about him and, Regina football when they made that run when they won 6 straight, with him, and just his, the wins and losses are great, but when you truly get to sit down with Marv and talk with him, just you realize why he was so successful is, because he was all about the players first and building great people and great husbands and great fathers. And like this past year, actually, I brought him back and he spoke to the team as like a guest speaker before our first game, which was really cool for the kids and for me too, to kind of, it all comes full circle, because honestly, when I first came to Regina, like he didn't have to take me on as a football coach on his staff. He probably didn't have any room on his staff. I kind of reached out. I'm like, hey, I'm a new PE teacher. I played college ball. I did football, wrestling, and baseball in high school. I'd love to start getting involved in coaching. If you have a spot for me, it doesn't need to be paid. I'm just looking to get involved and help out in any way I can. I'll coach multiple positions. And he immediately reached out to me and walked me all around Regina, showed me all the facilities, showed me the field, and was just open arms on bringing me on. And, it's kind of funny how things just work out. I kind of worked my way up. He stepped away, and now I'm kind of in charge, and I still use him for advice and text him and call him for advice all the time.
Yeah, Regina had a really dry spell in the late 90s, early 2000s, and they really started to pick it up a little bit. But he took over and just shot up. And how many state champion? 6, 7?
I think he won 7. I think. Yeah. I think they have 8 total as a program. But yeah, he won
every year.
7. They were 6 right in a row. Yeah.
And Hinkle and Dumont and Canella. I mean, those guys you mentioned are all great coaches.
100%.
So amazing what they turned that around, and just every year. It seemed like every kid wanted to play football, I think. And they had great cross country in the past too.
Yep. I was just I have a couple people on staff that were with Marv at the time. Ed Hinkle, one of them, he's been at Regina for 15 years now. It's awesome to just have that. One of those guys. Yep. He's still there, and he still calls the offense.
Oh, yes.
He's actually got 2 boys now that are starting to come through. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. Holt, his oldest, he'll be a sophomore next year. And then, Hux Hinkle will be a 7th grader.
So tell me how do you, what's your philosophy at Regina with, do you get down in 7th grade, 8th grade? Do you run the same system? When do you get kids on weights? Just tell us a little bit about what's trying to develop at Regina right now with the kids.
Yeah. So, our 7th and 8th grade program, we definitely try to kind of vertically align everything from junior high all the way up. We do a little junior high, like I guess coaches clinic per se, and we try to teach our very base offensive concepts, defensive concepts, even some special teams concepts at that 7th grade level. Here's what we want them to know in 7th grade, offensively, defensively, and then when they get to 8th grade, maybe a little bit more complex. That way, when they get to freshman year, our bread and butter plays that we're running, our bread and butter plays that we're running at the varsity level, they've been doing since 7th grade, but just doing it maybe at a high level or maybe with some other tags off that base play, but they know the terms, how to block it, how to ID it, all that stuff from 7th grades. Yeah, so definitely like my scope of the program, they come in 7th grade. Number one, keep football fun, like keep them out, help them enjoy it. Every kid's going to play, in 7th and 8th grade. Yeah, they enjoy winning too. Obviously, like I was in 7th grade a while ago now, but I wanted to win, right? Any competitor wants to win, but at the end of the day too, like you need to make sure every kid is experiencing football in a way that they want to keep coming back. They're hungry for more. That way we keep them out for high school sports, because yeah, like you're right. You talked about it earlier. Like when Marv was coaching, I think they were saying he had like 75 guys, sometimes more on his roster, 9 through 12, which for a smaller school, Regina, like that's probably almost every boy that's walking the hallways. And we're trying to get back up to that. Like last year I had probably 49 guys, only 9 through 12. Well, this year, just in 1 year, we should have around 60, 65 again. So we're getting back up there, creating another excitement for the program. Kids want to be a part of it. The kids on the team are, they're the best recruiters. They're recruiting the friends that maybe didn't come out last year to get them out. So it's kind of cool to see it, I guess, build back up again.
When do you start conditioning? When do you start getting in the weight room? What do you teach the kids? Let's say somebody comes to you and say, hey, I want to be certain weight, certain speed. I mean, how do you work with them individually or as a group?
I kind of have a unique role, and where like one of my favorite things is like strength and speed and conditioning work. And that's, one of my niches is that the exercise science background. And so I run all the programs for all athletics at Regina, all the strength and speed programs. So we actually start for like our summer strength and speed camp, you can start in 5th grade, going into 5th grade,
really
start learning just intro level, a lot of body weight stuff, a lot of PVC pipe, movement based stuff, dumbbell exercises, very, very basic. It's kind of like the junior high program, our foundational stuff that they're probably going to do that movement in high school, but just, at a more progressed, or maybe instead of a dumbbell, it's a barbell. But so they can start in the summertime, 5th and 6th grade. And then actually 7th and 8th graders, they can train in the summer and during the school year, up to 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. All athletes, all kids at Regina. And then high school kids, they can take it up to 4 times a week. And then we are also trying to build in that consistency piece where they're training year round. So we added, a lot of schools have it now, but we call it performance PE. So it's pretty much like a lifting class during the school day that kids can sign up for, and they get PE credit for it. But instead of, let's say you get home late from a doubleheader baseball game or a basketball game, you don't have to wake up at 6 a.m. to go lift. You can sleep in, because they do say sleep is the number one performance enhancer for kids, legal performance enhancer. And they say, sleep in, and then you can still get your training in during the school day, which has been huge for us, for our high school kids, especially our in-season athletes, where they're sleeping in. They still get consistent training throughout the whole year, just building on their base. Because I've seen several schools where it's not like that. They lift in the off season, and then when it becomes season, they never touch the weights again until their season's done, and they just kind of they go backwards. They lose all that muscle mass that they just built up in the off season. But for football wise, summer phase is a big important phase for us. So they start like this past year. They started on June 2nd, pretty much right after they got out of school, and then this is week 4 for us. So they've been training for 4 weeks. 4 days a week, and usually we try to train speed stuff twice a week. And then
give us an example of speed stuff.
So, for example,
pulling a sled.
Yeah, yep. We might do some sort of resisted sprints, whether it be like banded resisted sprints or sled sprints. We have these prowlers, we call them, which are sleds that you can push. So you
Put
can
weight on them in the front.
Yep, you can push a bunch of different plyometrics, so jumps, skips, bounds, hops, things that are going to make you springy and athletic. Working on just like even as basic as like position ground start. So starting in a push-up position, making kids compete, saying go, they got to get up as fast as they can, sprint, 10, 15 yards. I'm big on like timing sprints. So we have these cool lasers where we'll time like 10-meter flies, or like yesterday we timed 20-yard dashes. And you want to talk about a way to just get kids to run hard every single rep, put a timer, put an accurate timer on them. They are going to go all out, and they want to see their time. They're trying to beat their buddies. They're trying to beat themselves. So yeah, doing stuff like that every day. We'll do it before our lift, and then we'll go into the weight room and hit our lifts.
You do a lot of squats, like
Yep.
Olympic weightlifting, or
yeah, we do a little bit of Olympic weightlifting, not a ton. Hang clean is probably the most complex we get, and that's something that I've gotten from Iowa, and even as a college athlete and high school athlete, we hang clean too. So I just think it's a great way to teach, applying more force into the ground and teaching good triple extension through the hip, knee, and ankle, which is what all athletes need to do. As far as squats, we'll work up to like a front squat. Will be our main like bilateral movement, double leg movement. I'm a huge fan of single leg strength. So building up single leg strength, just because you think about sports, you're always jumping off one foot, running off one foot, sprinting off one foot. So like dumbbell step ups, barbell step ups, single leg squats, skater squats, lateral goblet squats. There's a ton of different ways that you can hit that single leg strength, but that's been a big part of our program. That some places overlook single leg strength completely. All they want to do is just back squat, put weight on the bar, but being functional is super important too, and mobile.
So you got, do the young kids, are they in the weight room with the older kids?
No, not usually. It's so during the school year, you'll have a mix of junior high kids and high school kids both in the same time for the morning group only. So I run like a 6:30 a.m. group before school, and the junior high kids don't usually use the rack very much. They're mainly like on a dumbbell program, doing goblet squats and all dumbbell based movements, or body weight based movements, even pull ups, all that sort of stuff. And the high schoolers, it's kind of nice in our weight room. We have like a turf side and then a rack side with all the Sorinex racks. And so the high schoolers can kind of stay on this side, use mainly the racks, and then the junior high kind of stays on the other side and does their workout on that side. But in the summer, they're all separate. So, for example, today, my normal schedule, like I have a 7 a.m. All male group, high school, and that's usually one of our biggest groups. Like sometimes we're at max capacity in that weight room. Got to be smart on how you're programming and starting people on different groupings. And then 8 a.m. So an hour later, we have an all female group, which we can get up to like 40 girls in there working out. And then 8:30 is when we do the young bucks. So we do 2 days a week, 5th and 6th graders. And then the other 2 days we do 7th and 8th graders. And then 9:15 comes in, it's either softball or baseball. Same thing. They're every other day. Softball twice a week, baseball twice a week. And then 10 a.m. I offer it's usually like an alumni group. So kids that are maybe still playing college athletics that graduated from Regina come in, work out during that time. And then it's like a second high school co-ed group as well. So
staying busy.
It's like once you start, like I told my one of my track coaches, our head track coach, actually, Coach Fedoris, he helps out a lot in the weight room. I just tell him, like, man, once we start, it's just like clockwork, man. If I didn't have him, it would not be able to run as smooth as it does. But like as one group's finishing up in the weight room, he's warming up the next group, doing their speed stuff. And then as they come down, the other group's out, and then the next group's starting. It's just one after another. That way we're not spending all day there too.
I've seen the weight room in that baseball diamond upstairs.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
our,
wild.
Our kids are very, very lucky.
Yeah, it's a great place.
I was lucky in my high school too to have a nice facility in Byron. Like we had a really nice big PE center with an indoor track and 4 basketball courts, nice weight room. So like same thing. My dad's like, when you go these college visits, like you've been pretty blessed at your high school. Like some of these colleges might not have, the nice facilities like your high school did. So just, be prepared for that, and I was like, when I went to Co, which now Co kind of revamped their stuff and renovated. But like when I went to Co, they had one gym. It was just EB Fieldhouse, that one gym. That was it. So like when I go there as a high school kid coming from a place with 4 courts plus our competition gym plus an indoor track, I'm like, man, this is college, you know, like it was kind of an eye opener.
Yeah, I bet. Are you doing 7-on-7 now? The kids at night, or how does that work?
No, I try to stay pretty hands off, honestly, with our kids over the summer. So we do skills and drills twice a week on Tuesday, Thursdays, right after their lift. I try to get everything done right in the morning because with Iowa having summer baseball, which I wasn't used to coming from Illinois, baseball was always in the spring, and like summer was just for, hey, you're training for football, you know, your fall sport. But here it's a lot different. And being at Regina, like a lot of our kids do multiple sports. And so I do have a ton of football guys that are doing baseball, and they're having a heck of a year right now. So I definitely can't do anything in the afternoon because they're practicing baseball. They have baseball games sometimes back-to-back nights, every other night for sure. So I do Tuesday, Thursdays, they hit their lift usually from 7 to like 8:15, and then they do skills and drills for only an hour from like 8:30 to 9:30. Then they're out and they're done for the rest of the day.
Does the state restrict how often you could see them, or
nope? Starting June 1st, we can pretty much do
you can do whatever,
as little or as much as we want. I'm a big fan of like minimum effective dose. And I also got to understand like the basketball coach is trying to do open gyms too. And a lot of our kids play basketball, baseball, volleyball. I mean, kids are honestly overloaded a lot of the time. They're super busy. So I think twice a week has been good. We did try to schedule like 2 7-on-7s with Solon, but I already had to cancel the one last week because they had baseball practice, and we don't want to get those baseball guys hurt for baseball season. So we were missing guys, so we had to drop out of that. But we'll pick it up a little bit more once baseball gets over and whatnot, and be able to like truly kind of go all in on football.
Well, hopefully you'd agree with me, but I would encourage the kids to play every sport you can in high school.
Yeah, 100%.
Go out for all of them. Don't specialize in just this. Go do it all. Sample all. They're all great. Teaches you teamwork, discipline. They're all hard work. They're all great. Soccer's great. I mean, they all have something different. Wrestling's an individual sport, but what better shape? And I can't imagine. I played basketball. I didn't wrestle, but you know, how good a shape would you be in for football, wrestling? Getting ready to you know, linemen with their feet, with their hands, with what you're doing. I mean, so you learn so much from sports. I can tell the difference today when I hire somebody. I'm always looking for an athlete.
Oh yeah.
I'm always looking for somebody who's got a little extra because they get teamwork, discipline.
Yep.
You need that in the workplace.
How to overcome adversity. Yeah, I mean, there's just so many life lessons that sports teach in general. And
it's
like you said,
4th and 2. Are you going to score or not?
Yeah, exactly.
What are you going to do?
Yep.
You going to quit?
Yep.
You know, you're tired, you're beat up, you're hurt. What are you going to do? That's life, though.
Yep.
And that's why I think it's. What do you think of the people that, you know, there's a lot of naysayers on you can get hurt, you got head injuries, and I understand you have a really good concussion protocol right now. I mean, I think that's great. Helmets are probably way better. You know, we had a little, I won't even tell you, it wasn't very thick, just a little web. But talk about a little bit about injuries and do you get a lot of pressure from parents on, you know, helmets and what's going on, or what are your thoughts as a head coach?
I haven't honestly got a ton of pressure as far as, you know, injuries or being worried about concussions a whole lot. There's been maybe less than a handful, honestly, since I've been at Regina. But like you said, like the helmets are safer than they've ever been. The equipment's safer than it's ever been. Like, yeah, kids are bigger, faster, stronger now. So maybe some things are at higher speeds than what they used to be. But yeah, like as far as playing football, I feel like there's no safer time than now to play that sport, just because, like technology and everything is always moving forward and getting better and better and safer and safer. And like even like I graduated from Co in 2015. Even since then, like the helmets are way more comfy and safer. And there's research and studies out there, like out in West Virginia, I think they do a big study on different helmets and their impacts and how safe they are. And they comparing the older helmets, and just it's impressive to see that data on how much safer it truly is. In practice, do you wear the netting or the foam? The Guardian caps. We used to, but we don't anymore. Just because we actually are lucky. We have a university athletic trainer that comes out to all of our practices, and we have University of Iowa team docs that are out all of our home and away games. And so I got to give Johnny James a shout out. He's been at Regina for a long time too. Was there with Marv, but he is there every afternoon. He spends a ton of time with our athletes, keeping them safe, healthy. If a kid does happen to, you know, a headache comes up or if they need to get looked at, he's right there, and can get them into the university like just like that. I think that's a big pro of being right in Iowa City too. Here's another story. Like my first year at Regina, I remember a kid kind of got rolled up on the sideline. They were worried about like a high ankle sprain or something. Went halftime in the locker room. They did a diagnostic ultrasound right there in the locker room,
Wow.
and they could see that it was fractured, and so he was done for the game.
Yeah.
But it's like, holy cow,
That's
like
pretty cool.
I did not have that in high school where they are
Yeah.
literally right in the locker room testing the diagnostic ultrasound, and they can tell you right then and there. I think just having the university in town is such a huge
Right.
advantage for our
Oh, yeah.
kids, which should make our parents feel,
Right.
even more confident that, hey, it's okay to play football and you're in good hands, good safety.
The new clinic up in Corville, North Liberty, in the north end of Evergreen,
yeah.
orthopedics and
Super
sports.
nice.
Unbelievable. So do you have a trainer on sidelines during games and practices? You have a
Yep.
trainer right there. So
Yep.
somebody needs taped up or they're hurt or pulled something, they're right there.
Yeah, he covers all of our
That's-
sports. He's there every single afternoon. And then, on top of just our certified athletic trainer, we have the university team docs there as well.
Tell us about your assistants and what they do, and then, maybe get into a little more of your philosophy in coaching, what you're trying to do, and then maybe get into goals. Where do you want to go with this football program?
Yeah, so football is definitely a unique sport where it truly takes a village. Like my dad used to say that all the time. It takes a village to build truly something great. And like Steve Staker at Co, he would always say, "Hey, football is the ultimate team sport. Like there's not very, or if any, other sports where there's 11 guys on the field, 22 total, where you're all doing something maybe slightly different, working towards one common goal." And so when I took over as head coach, I wanted to bring back just the culture piece of Regina football and what makes it special. I knew that Regina football, was very successful for a long time. So they obviously were doing something right for sure. So I tried to keep that foundation, but then also just bring back what made football meaningful to kids and special to kids. So those team meals, guest speakers, doing a mom's night, dad's night, all those little things. So I did that first, tried to bring that piece back, but then also building my staff. So building an elite staff. And I was lucky enough to have like a guy like Ed Hinkle already on staff who has seen it all. He's been here for 15 years now. He was here for the highest of highs, the lowest of lows, kind of through everything, seeing how different coaches operate. So I could pick his brain a little bit. I wanted to run the program a little bit more similar to how Marv Cook ran it, as far as just being more the administrator. Like I'll handle the team culture piece. I'll handle all the weight room stuff. I'll still coach. I usually help coach the O-line and then linebackers a little bit. So I still coach some positions, but as far as like the big rocks of offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, I wanted my staff to be able to do that and handle that and take that off my plate a little bit. So
Do you game plan with them, or they tell you the game plan, you agree?
We'll meet as a kind of offensive staff, defensive staff, sit down, game plan. We usually do that on Sundays and then also throughout the week. And then, like I have pretty high trust in a lot of my coaches where, I'll give them some ideas here and there, but for the most part, they kind of run the show. They tell me what the game plan is. If we have a disagreement, we'll hash it out as a whole staff. It might just not be me. Maybe somebody else has different ideas. And then when we leave the room and we're ready to move forward, we're all on the same page and we're ready to kind of accomplish that mission. But Ed Hinkle's my offensive coordinator still. I hired Dan Davis is his name. He came over from College of DuPage in Illinois. He coached at the junior college over there. Was same thing. Like he's a phenomenal leader of men. He won like 3 national championships over there at College of DuPage. Got really lucky with him. It's the same thing. Like his wife took a job at the university. He was a retired teacher and coach. Wanted to stay involved with teaching and coaching. Has coached a little bit of everything. He played at Texas A&M way back in the day. But so he handles my defense. He's my DC, and same thing. He has so much knowledge of the game. I think it's cool, like for me as a young coach, to be able to learn from all these different people, some who have been in the game for a long time, some very little, and just pick different pieces from them. Because, like I said, I have several coaches on my staff that could easily, be head coaches somewhere, which I think is what makes our program very special. So I have Ed as the OC, Coach Davis is the DC, Then I have Matt Hills is his name. He kind of helps run a lot of my special teams and then helps with my defense as well. He graduated from West Branch, not too far down the road, and he's been helping us out the last couple of years. He came on with Coach Dumont. And then this year I'm really excited about, we hired Michael Pannone is his name. And he'll kind of be like Coach Davis's right-hand man on defense, and he'll coach D-line. But he came from Quincy University, and he was actually their associate head coach there and defensive coordinator there. So, and he's a younger guy like me, but just he's done his whole life is coach college football. He coached at Grand Valley State for a little bit. He coached at Quincy and a couple other places. But so he's going to be phenomenal. I'm really excited to have him this year. And then I could go up and down the board. I have a pretty big staff this year, and it makes it fun for myself. But like I said, really it takes stress off my plate. When you have all these great people, you have trust in them, you have faith in them that they can do their job and do it at a high level. They can take it, run with it, have some ownership of their.
Sounds like an amazing staff. You got to be excited about it. Tell us about your schedule and your conference. What conference is Regina in now?
So they just redistrict this year for Class 1A. So we got new non-district and district games. So we start off the year with Wilton. So we're at Wilton, and then we're at home versus West Branch, and then we're at home again versus Albernet. So those are our three non-districts: Wilton, West Branch, Albernet, which will be a tough challenge for us to start the year. Wilton's a great program. They're coming off of making a semifinals last year. Graduated a good amount of seniors, but Coach Hetzler does a really good job there. He's their AD as well. Have a lot of respect for him. And then West Branch, same thing. It's just a big rivalry usually between Regina and West Branch. I've kind of come to learn that a little bit.
Marv Cook was the quarterback out there.
Yeah, at West Branch. Yep, I know. So West Branch is always going to be tough, and they had a pretty good, strong junior class that'll be coming back. So that'll be a tough matchup in our first home game. And then Albernet, they're growing. That district is growing like crazy. They're getting a bunch of people from Linn-Mar, and like I'm a track coach too, so I follow their. Right. How fast are people? And they had some really, really fast relays this year, some fast boys. So they have a running back and linebacker that's going to be pretty dang good. Probably be one of the better ones we see all year. So Albernet will be a really tough test. And then we get into district play. And in our district, it's, Sigourney Keota is a kind of traditionally pretty good football program. So they're going to be a good program. And like Eddiesville, Blakesburg, Fremont, they're in there as well. And then we have Durant, Louisa Muscatine, and Cardinal. So we'll kind of see what happens. But yeah, we definitely have some good tests throughout the year before we get to the playoffs.
What's your goal there? Have you laid it out to the team, or is it?
Yeah, so I think every player would definitely say this, but our end result is definitely to win a state championship and get back to the Dome. I feel like the past probably 5 years we've kind of gotten to the second or even that quarterfinal round and just haven't been able to quite get back over that hump and get back to the semifinals. So that's been a big message this year, is like, what's it going to take for us to get over that quarterfinal hump? What's our big motto this year is going to be the slight edge. I don't know if you've read that book at all by Jeff Olson. But we're kind of reading that this summer as a team throughout the summer. So they train Monday through Thursday, but then on Fridays, I call it leadership training. And so guys come in from like 9 to 10:15 a.m. and we break down. Like last year, it was we read Pound the Stone by Joshua Medcalf, which is they're very similar, like professional development reads, is like the Energy Bus and all that. And this year it's the Slight Edge. So what's going to be our slight edge? Talks about just your simple daily choices, your simple daily disciplines that you can do, little things, every single day, that's going to end up giving you big time results in the long term. And it, all about compound interest, really. And so we're kind of hammering that home every single day. So I tell the kids, like, it's good to keep the end result in mind. Like, yes, we want a state championship, but it takes all these little things to lead up to that point. We can't just say, oh, we want to win a state championship. It's the actions that lead up to that point.
John Gordon's got a new book that's really good. His latest is called The One Truth.
The One Truth. I've seen some
really
advertisements for that.
It's easy read, and it doesn't take long, but it's fantastic. I think it's his best book, and he has like 23 books. So,
okay.
Check that out.
I've read The Coffee Bean is another good one that he reads.
The Carpenter.
Yep, I've read that one.
Yeah.
I'm a huge John Gordon fan for sure.
Yeah. So Well, that's great. You want to talk about any of the players you got coming back? I know you got Kyle Tracy. I know his dad pretty well, Chad.
Oh yeah, yep.
And
Kyle's awesome.
yeah, sounds like he's going to be a senior, right?
Yep.
Senior leader.
Yes. Yep. So I have
captain.
Yep. So I have pretty strong going to be senior class. So that 2026 class. Kyle's one of the best out of all of them as far as overall leadership. Works his butt off. He, like I just said this last week in our leadership training, but like if there's one person that has kind of modeled that slight edge mentality and really trusted the process and trusted the journey, it's been Kyle the past couple of years. Just like last year was his first year starting as a quarterback. He was kind of following the footsteps of Gentry Dumont, who was coming. He had a really great year. He's at Grandview University playing football there now. And as far as stats go, like Gentry was off the charts in several stats, led the team. So it could have been really easy for Kyle to say like, oh, I want to just be a starter this year. I'm just going to be happy to just kind of step into the role and take on. But I kind of challenged him last summer to like, hey, why not go in and let's be all state this year? Like set the goal high. Like you have the ability to go in and just pick up where we left off and be even better than what we were last year as the quarterback position. And he did just that. We went 9-2, made the quarterfinals. And if you look at the statistics on Bound, like he was top 5 in almost every statistical category in the state. Him and that Grundy Center quarterback, I don't know if you've heard of him, but Judd Javosky, he's really, really good player as well. But so, yeah, Kyle, and the thing that got Kyle there was just working, every single day doing, he throws with the quarterback coach in his spare time. He's always in the weight room, working hard, bringing his teammates up there, holding his teammates accountable. He's always at the leadership training stuff. Just a great all around person. So yeah, he's going to be a huge leader for us. In the summertime for our lifting, we vote on captains. And then we kind of split them into like mini sub teams. And we do a little draft, and Kyle and Tate Wallace were the two that had the most votes by their teammates. I think there was 46 responses. Couldn't vote for yourself, and they had 45 of them. So they had every single kid on the team voted for those two, which says a lot about their teammates and what they think about them. So Kyle's one. Drew Grieve is another one. He's returning first team All-State defensive back for us. And I could say the same exact things for him that I just said for Kyle. Just very humble, hardworking. He's maybe not the most vocal leader, but he's going to do the right things. He's always going to be in the right spot. You can trust him to do the right thing on and off the field. Great kid in the classroom. And he plays receiver and DB for us. And then I hate saying this because I'm always going to forget some name, I'm sure, but right, Hudson Cook is another one. He's going to be a senior. Eddie Gangba is another one. He got 4th in state in the Open 200 last year. Very, very athletic, but also just a great leader, defensive back, receiver. And we have some new kids that are coming out this year that haven't come out in the past that are just great leaders. I'm excited to see what they can do for us on the football field. Paul Weiner is a kid that I have to shout out. Like he's just an all around great person and great leader. Has been working his butt off this summer. So I think he's going to help us this year. But yeah, I'm probably forgetting somebody for sure, but we have a lot of underclassmen that are going to be juniors that are great ones too. Savion Miller, Tate Wallace, we got Noah Horner is another senior that's up and coming, a kid that hasn't seen the field a ton up to this point, but has been just chipping away and it's kind of transformed his body. And I just foresee him having a really good senior year for us. And he's a O-line D lineman.
You gotta love the strength and conditioning. We see a kid come in the program, then look at him a year later.
Yeah, it's
amazing, isn't it? Each year they get older, a little more mature.
Yeah. That's one of the most rewarding things as a coach and strength coach, especially, is just that transformation they can make over a year, or even big scheme is freshman year to senior year. Yeah. Like, holy cow,
they're a completely different person. They come in at 225 pounds and whatever they leave at 3.5. I don't know what it was, but they are turned into incredible.
Yeah, we've had several of those kind of. It's fun for me because I see it, on a day-to-day process. Like some of my coaches aren't in the building every day. And like when they showed up this summer to help with skills and drills and stuff, they're like, wait a second, is that still that kid? Like, wait, he was listed on the football roster at 165 and now he's 225 and 6'4". Like, that's not the same kid, you
Do
know?
what type of diet? Do you eat a lot of protein, eggs? Do you use creatine? I don't know
Yep.
what's legal, what is it
Yeah.
anymore, but
So,
what do the kids have? What do they do?
yes, some sort of protein, carbs, and then, your fruits and veggies.
Lots of eggs.
Yeah, eggs
Yes.
are a great high quality protein.
Right.
Your steak, your ground beef, your fish. Fish is a very high quality protein. And then, we do a ton of nutrition education for the kids, and that's something that I've taken from Coach Doyle a ton, all his different nutrition packets and resources, and I'll print them out, hand them out to the kids. Whether they're on a weight gain plan, maybe some of them are looking to decrease body fat and maybe lean up a little bit different goals. A lot of high school football guys, at least, they want to put on weight, but it's not always the case. So just educating them on, what their plate should look like, when they go to the lunch cafeteria, or in the summertime, it's even about educating their parents, right? Because their parents are the ones buying the groceries. So how can we help educate the parents to explain what they should be filling their cabinets with has been huge.
Do you still have 2-a-days? Or
No, no 2 days. I think
Just practice in the morning when
Yep.
it's hot.
yeah.
When do you start? When do you start up?
So we have our camp, like our football camp, August 4th. We do like a 4-day camp, and then first official day of practice is August 11th. Yeah, we practice in the evening, and we actually do our kids camp the same week as our high school camp. We do it right before. That's a long week for me. Those are the days where I bring the air mattress in, and sometimes I might be sleeping at the facility.
Great. Well, it's kind of interesting. We had a group of guys I went to high school with that we played a little high school ball, and we met about 6 months ago. And we all had lunch together, where there's about 8 of us. We all played football together, and we're sitting there. It's 53 years later, and we're talking about. Remember when so and so scored on? Remember when we beat? Still just like it was the other day, just like it was yesterday.
Oh yeah.
We're sitting there, and that was 50. Where do you come up with this stuff? Well, you never forget it.
Mhm.
You never talk about there's 4 overtimes against so-and-so. You remember this guy played for Drake or whoever did whatever,
Yeah.
It's kind of funny when we're kids then, 17, and you never, and it's your best time of your life now.
Yep.
The Regina football players, they don't know this.
Mm-hmm.
It's their best time of their life.
100%.
Have fun. Go out, give it your all. Make every play, make every second count,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll be the best time of your life.
Yeah.
And make the moments, cherish the moments, cherish the smell of the grass, the Friday night lights. I start getting excited talking about
I get
it.
goosebumps talking about that.
Maybe I could come out and throw them a football, but
Yeah,
whatever.
I think that's why a lot of us coaches get back into it, is because
yeah.
what that experience
Yeah.
meant to us. And
Can't explain it running out on the field and it's packed and the lights are on.
almost everybody I've talked to, whether it be guys that have played in the NFL, guys that have played in college, they always say,
High school.
Yep, high school
Yeah.
football is where it's at. And
There's something about
there's
it.
nothing like, Friday night lights,
Right,
and just
right.
the whole community,
Yep.
Rallying around you. You get to play with your buddies you grew up with your
Yep.
whole life. The bus rides together,
Yep.
the locker room after a big win, the locker room after a tough loss.
You got to learn those too.
The team meals, the guest speakers, the whole encompassing, like high school football. There is nothing like it.
It's way more than X's and O's and what the
Yes.
play is. It's life. It's being a good father, being a good brother or sister, whatever's going on.
Yep, 100%.
It's a whole thing. It's just not football.
No.
A lot of people don't realize that. They don't understand it. It's way more than just football.
Yeah, and that's one thing that Marv would always say is, I'll know when I did my job 20 years from now.
Right.
When you are, a good husband, good father, good brother. He would always, say that, or usually end his talks with that, and that's
It's so
something
true.
that I've continued to preach to our guys.
Yeah, when you're 17, you're not thinking like that, getting married and
No.
having kids, but it'll happen.
Yep. Yeah. A
So-
lot of them are in the short term, and they don't see big picture sometimes.
Well, listen, I just want to finish with 3 things and rank them in any order. Or you bring them up. Who is your hero? What's your highlight so far? And give me a hardship. So however you want to start, finish, but I want to do those 3.
Yeah. Hero, highlight, and then hardship.
And hardship, yeah, or however you want to talk about it in your
Let's
life
see.
so far.
Yeah. So let's see.
Make you think here.
Yeah. All right. Hero. I can't just pick one, so it has to be both
Okay.
my parents. Mom and dad, just modeling. What it takes to be a great parent, and then also I've seen them throughout my life just be great coaches and mentors to all their athletes. That they've had a chance to impact throughout the years, and students too, because they were both educators. And I think that's one of the big reasons why I decided to go back into education, because you just see how many people you can, come in contact with and connect with being in education and being a coach. And then it's really cool when those people come back, years later, and they talk about that one story, that they remember from
Right.
Coach Elsbury,
Right.
talking about my dad or my mom, or talking about that one game, or just talk about the life lessons they taught them. And then just like growing up with them too, what they've taught me and my brothers, I'm sure it wasn't easy for sure for them at times, like having 5 boys, growing up. I always say like my mom's a saint, and it's tough even talking about him, like as my hero, just because I get emotional about it. But I'm sure they've made some sacrifices, to allow us to have the opportunities to do what we could do. We always were able to play whatever sport we wanted to. It seemed like we always had the equipment we needed. Always were able to. They were always in the stands too. That's another thing. So I have to definitely pick those two. That'd be an easy choice as my heroes. I've had several other like awesome coaches and role models that I've been able to learn from, and that I've picked up pieces from. But and then highlight. I got can it be like, you want it like sports related or
Whatever.
Okay.
Family, sports.
Yeah.
Just in your lifetime, whatever wherever you want to go with it.
So highlights got to be having a new baby girl about 8 weeks ago now.
It's a miracle. Isn't it?
April 30th. So Presley Marie, she's adorable. And same thing. My wife Kenzie is amazing, and I think a lot of coaches that have wives say this, but like she's she allows me to do what I can do, and she kind of holds down the fort at home for sure. And when I'm coaching and busy, that's why it's nice to have the summers off a little bit. Like I work in the mornings, but then have the afternoons to spend more time with her and Presley. But that's definitely a highlight for me, is bringing a baby into the world that I'm now, and
Part of.
get to parent. Yeah.
You come home at night and you get a little baby.
It's a pretty cool experience.
Fulfills you a little bit.
Amazing.
More, doesn't it?
Yeah. And then hardship.
Yeah.
Hardship. I'll do let's see. Trying to think here. Hardship. Let's see. So I'll do a sport one, and I'll do kind of a life one too. So my sport one, I would say hardship was just like last year after our last loss of the season. Like you kind of build the relationships with the seniors, and then kind of seeing their career end like right in front of your eyes, and maybe you didn't like accomplish what you set out to do or set out to accomplish. And so like last year's seniors, that was tough, a tough pill to swallow for myself and for them. We lost to Wilton in the quarterfinals in like the last, minute and a half, came down to an onside kick at the end, and it was kind of a crazy game. And looking back, I think we had, an amazing season. I only had 7 seniors last year, and I think coming into the year, maybe they didn't even think that we would make it that far. But then when you are, have that taste of how close you were as a coach, you like just wonder, could you, what could we have done more to get for the kids, mainly what could we have done to get them to the dome and for them to have that experience. So seeing the seniors like graduate after you spend all that time with them in the weight room and football and whatnot, that's a hardship for sure. And then hardship in life, I would say, is continuing to find that work-life balance. Like, so as I'm taking on more of these roles, and as head football coach, head strength coach, I'm still teaching. I did end up dropping wrestling last year because I needed to have a little bit more balance in my life as far as work life. So like last year, I only did track and football, but still learning and figuring out, how to be still present at home and be a good father, a good husband, but then also still invest all, as the time that I want into my players and the athletes at Regina, and still figuring that out. So that's been a hardship too, and when you do have a new baby, you find out like, hey, you're losing sleep. Like you still got to show up to work and show up for the kids, and you need to be there just as much as, at home.
Are you getting a couple hours sleep or a little more than that?
Yeah, she's actually, we've been knock on wood. Yeah. We've been really lucky. Yeah. The past week, she's only woken up like once throughout the night. She'll sleep. 4 to 5 hours at a time, wake up once and then go back to sleep pretty much until I wake up for morning weight room. So we'll see if I keep
Keep
going.
knocking
Yeah,
on it.
exactly.
Anything else you want to say here to wrap up? Anything else about Regina football, the climate, the people, the season coming up? Anything else?
No, not really. I just say, I mean, yeah, I'm just really excited for
Good.
this coming up season. I think a lot of our kids are excited. We had a pretty young group last year, and even new staff too. Like, not only was it a young group, but they're learning a new defense. They're learning a new head coach and how he operates. So I'm just looking forward to year two, building on year one, and making it, you know, even more special than it was in year one. And like, Regina's just a phenomenal place, really supportive community, and that's kind of why I stayed there. Like, I'll be going into my 6th year there already, which is crazy to think about. But from our athletic director, Taylor Hotek, to my principal, Glenn Plummer, like, really starts from those guys, the administrators, just having my back and being supportive in all my visions and missions, and sometimes crazy ideas that maybe I want to try to get done or accomplish. Like, they're always there for me. And just the parents and the community at Regina is truly something special. So yeah, looking forward to.
Yeah, we're looking forward to Friday Night Lights and seeing you out there.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, good luck this year. It's been great, Dustin, to see you. And
Thanks
go Regina.
Thanks so much for having me.
Good to see
Appreciate
you.
it. It's awesome.
Thank you.